Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today with Brandon.
Hello.
We're here to talk about games and things.
Games and
Games
things.
and things. What's on the agenda today? PlayStation conference.
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about there. But first, we'll talk about our games. Go ahead and get those out of the way.
Well, you got new things to talk about.
I do.
Tears of the Kingdom, so I'll leave my update for after those, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of rhymes, I think. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. What do you got? Tekken, Street Fighter?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tekken 8, not Tekken 8, sorry, Tekken 7 was on sale because of Tekken 8's like new announcements and trailers and things. So the $180 edition I was able to get for $13, which comes with all 4 season passes.
Yeah.
So like it was fucking great. I always like Tekken. Tekken will always be one of my favorite fighting games ever. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Next to like Guilty Gear, those are like my 2 favorites. And Tekken 7 is a great game. I really liked it when I originally played it, but being able to get the entire game and all of its DLC for like less than $20 was just a fucking no-brainer, you know. So I got it, and my friend ended up getting it as well, and we've been playing some online matches together and just chilling and hanging out. The online for Tekken 7 is so incredibly smooth. It's so good. And we've just been kind of playing it the last few nights, and it's been like just a lot of fun. So that's what I've been doing essentially. Like, I mean, I don't have much else to say about it. If you like fighting games and you haven't played Tekken 7, you should probably check it out. So
okay, yeah.
And I also tried the Street Fighter 6 demo. The Street Fighter 6 demo allows you to play like the first like prologue chapter of the single player, as well as like try out some of the like main characters that you can play. And I really liked it. Like I liked it a lot. It's got some really interesting ideas. So first of all, single player. The single player for this game is kind of like an action adventure game. So let me explain.
Okay.
You get to make your own character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have like a mentor that you start out with, and he's like teaching you the ropes and the basics of like fighting in the dojo and this, that, and the other. But the world is open world, and like everyone that's in the open world has like a number above their heads, and that's like how difficult it would be to fight them. And you can go up to any like civilian with a number above their head in the game and challenge them to a fight, and then you just start fighting them. It like transfers from like the open world to a fight like just like instantaneous essentially. And then you fight those people and you like grind to level yourself up so that you can get better. And the more you use like your mentor's moves, the better you get at them and the more you learn. You also earn like money and stuff, which you can then spend on cosmetics that are inside the single player. And then you can take your single player character into the online multiplayer and show off your single player character to the online multiplayer like lobby. Like when you go and you're waiting for a game, you like go into the lobby physically, and the lobby has like all these arcade cabinets and stuff set up that you go and sit down at with your online character that you made, and then like you challenge other people, and so anyone can come over and sit down at the opposite side of you on the other cabinet, and then you guys start actually playing Street Fighter 6 against each other. It's a very interesting idea, and
cool.
In the single player, like your cosmetics actually have like levels and like perks and add things to like your abilities, similar to like Splatoon 3 or Splatoon just in general. It's just a really cool like idea. I don't know how fleshed out it is because I only got to play like a little bit of it, but like just the general idea of that is really different and very neat. And some of the other people that you can like meet up with, like mentors, are like iconic Street Fighter characters that you're able to like train under and then learn their moves. And then the really cool thing about the single player, from everything I've seen, is you can kind of combine all of the mentors' moves that you've learned together. So like you could have like Dhalsim's Fireball, Ryu's Hadouken, and then like you could like have like stretchy legs or like the, you know, all that stuff in one character that you've created in the single player campaign. And it's like a really super neat idea because you can just make a straight up broken character. Yeah. And you don't carry it over to the multiplayer or anything, except for like, you know, cosmetically. So it doesn't matter. So it only stays confined to the single player, but it's like just an interesting way of building a single player game differently when it comes to a fighting game, because like every fighting game has like arcade mode or like special battles or something like that. That's their single player. That's how they do it. Or they have like a drawn out story mode that like has years and years and years of lore like Mortal Kombat does. But this is just like going for something completely different, and it's really interesting to see how it turns out. So I actually bought Tekken 7 Ultimate Edition and Street Fighter 6 on the same day because the demo was so fucking good.
Yeah.
So I will tell you how Street Fighter 6 is in full once I get it on Friday, because that comes out Friday.
All right.
So yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty reasonable. Let's see. What's my not Breath of the Wild. I keep on fucking calling it Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom update. I finished it. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm done, I guess. But, what I do? 75 hours, I think, is where I clocked it at.
Okay.
So that's not too shabby. I think I did something around 70 of the shrines, which means there's still about 30 left. And then, what was it? I don't even know how many underground things. And there's still just a ton of shit. I just don't know what it is or where to do with it. Because there's like different upgrades and stuff that I did not find or know where they went. And there's some subquests that I was just like, oh, this is so much. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not doing this right now. I don't know. I kind of got near the end and I'm just like, I just want to fucking finish this now. Not because I was in a rush to be done with it, but just because I was at that point where I'm like, the story was like teasing me along so much that I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to see how this is finishing up. I have some theories on, I don't know. There's some wild, I don't even know if they're wild. There's lots of thoughts about how this game fits into the timeline.
Okay.
And what was I going to say? Breath of the Wild was kind of ambiguous. And this one kind of makes some changes that make it not make sense in terms of the context of like what had previously existed. Because Breath of the Wild, they were kind of like, it's so far in the future from the other games, that doesn't really matter. Some of these details. This one's kind of like, because it's got that element of time travel in it, and it has overlaps in time where there should have been lore before. So there's like, they don't know if Nintendo's just like, fuck it, we don't care, or if something else is going on there. But I think it's interesting. I think the way that it came out just kind of came out interestingly. And actually, too, just kind of, I was thinking about it last week. Well, not last week. I guess in between last week and then today.
Okay.
About the whole conversation we had last week, rather, about how some of the old Zelda games progressed story-wise, and kind of what the difference is with this one. This one, I've decided after finishing it, it's a bit more handholdy than Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like it's not at the beginning. I feel like at least once you leave the first island, like, the one where you start out and everything, you drop down, you do that first, like, jump off the fucking cliff into whatever's next and get to the main Hyrule, like, mid-floor, that sort of thing. I'm going to call it that. I feel like once you hit that part, the game is not handholdy at all. And it's just kind of like, go do stuff.
Well,
essentially.
It is. So, yes and no. This is kind of where I guess I would just this is where I would interject my kind of thoughts onto it. Because it's like, you get to that sub area, but it does not, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, like you're really just thrown right into that. Here's that quest for everything that's going on in Hyrule. Go to these 4 places. Like it presents it right away. You know what your goal is. Yeah. And I would even say too, compared to Breath of the Wild, like Breath of the Wild, when you started it out, you're up on whatever that floaty island is now, and I can't think of it all of a sudden. But you knew where you were going. Like your end goal is the castle, for sure. And this one, you don't really know where your end goal is. You know what your end goal is. It's Pete Ganon, but you don't know where he is. It's just kind of like he's somewhere. Yeah. And so, but then it's just like, there's these regional disturbances going on. Why don't you go check those out? And so I was thinking about it though, and the reason I was making that comparison here is I was thinking about it in terms of some of the more recent Zelda games, I guess. And, it's Ocarina of Time is what came to my mind first, because you don't really have a set dungeon temple order specifically in that one. Yeah, there are some you kind of have to do in like somewhat of an order, but it's not as strict as say some of the other games were. Because I think when you're in the child timeline, you have to do them in a specific order there. But then when you're an adult, you can do them in whatever order you kind of almost want. You have to do the forest temple, and then you have to do what I do it in a wild order. What do I do? I do forest, water, spirit, fire, shadow, which is different than most of the order they want you to go in is forest, fire, water, shadow, spirit.
That's
So
essentially the order I follow. The one that's forest, fire, water, shadow.
yeah,
Spirit.
that's the one that the game kind of directs you towards.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's interesting because I was thinking about it because I'm like, well, it's open enough that it kind of lets you go in the order that you want. You kind of do
Mhm.
have a little bit more exploration to it. I think the big difference between kind of Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild is
Mhm.
just the expansiveness that it gives you in between those objectives. Like there's so much more that's available to do. Ocarina of Time really kind of directs you into like a much more guided tour, I guess. And Breath of the or Tears of the Kingdom does kind of have like similar direction. Like it does, I think it does a much better job of kind of pointing you in the right direction of where to go, as opposed to like Breath of the Wild, which is just incredibly open ended. This
Mhm.
one, I think, at least if you get kind of, if you don't really know what to do, it always has that kind of main objective that's like, here's the 4 points. And if you complete those, it will kind of keep directing you, like refocusing you back into this main objective. Um, but if you look at something like Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, those games all have very specific, like, you
Yeah.
must go in this order.
Exactly. Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, you even think about a more recent one. You have something more like Link Between Worlds,
Yeah. I was gonna actually say Link Between Worlds. Yeah.
let you go in like a little bit of a disorder as well. So, because that one, the temples were completely open,
Yeah.
and it kind of had like an overarching story to some degree.
Mhm.
I think, I don't know, but I think the big difference between like even say Link Between Worlds, and Tears of the Kingdom really is just the amount of freedom you have when you aren't doing something. If that
Okay.
makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No. 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 You mean like in Breath of the Wild, you just have so much freedom for whatever the hell you want to do, essentially.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the distracting factor. If the
I
world was
think
boring
that
and you went
is
from point A to
also
point B, you wouldn't have as much.
kind of a problem, in my opinion, with Tears of the Kingdom. There's so much stuff to do, right? That it can have the Skyrim or the Ubisoft game effect where you just do all of that instead of the main story, which is kind of what I found myself falling into. Which then, when I do all of that because I want to see what's next and everything, I kind of am like, okay, well, I'm gonna take a break because I'm just tired of exploring. And the game's like, well, you have a main story, and I'm like, yeah, but
I know, and that's not necessarily untrue either. I mean, it definitely. What was it? I think Saturday night. I
Mhm,
was just kind of like, I hadn't beaten it yet, but I was just kind of like, I'm spent. I'm like, I can't with this game right now because I had kind
mhm,
of things that I wanted to do
mhm.
in the game. Like I had kind of what was it? I got to a point where I finished kind of those main four story beats that they like sent you off on at the beginning.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, so here's the things that I know I need to do. I want to get this thing. I want to get XYZ amount of shrines, which involves finding them and doing them.
Yeah, I've
Um,
actually been like going towards shrines, like looking all over for them, basically. That's
I
been
did a pretty
my
good job of
plan.
like marking them on the map when I see them. Like if I'm
Mhm.
not going them right there, I'll flag it and be like, all right, I'll go back to this later.
I just
So
have this like, right? Okay, I guess I don't know how to explain it. I just have this like feeling that's like, yeah, maybe I should do more shrines, get more hearts, get more stamina to be able to go more places before doing like I have that issue that many gamers have where they get that special item and it's like you'll need this at some point and I'm like never use it again. Got it. And that's essentially what my issue is with Tears of the Kingdom. Like, you need these shrines and these heart containers and the stamina stuff so that you can continue your journey. And I'm just like, only go to the shrines and look for all of those and the things that are around them. Don't actually follow the main quest. Got it. And that's kind of my problem.
Yeah, and I think, and I don't disagree. Like, that's kind of one of the things that's, tricky about this too, because you kind of have to stay focused, and with just everything that's going on there,
Mm-hmm.
it's, it is a little bit more difficult. I'm kind of curious, again, where they walk the line with a sequel to this, because it's like, I think it would be difficult to keep something very similar.
Did I tell you this, or did I tell someone else this? It took me 12 hours of just playing and exploring the game to realize there's actually a tutorial for the underground, which I had no idea because I completely skipped it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
And then
that quest that kind of sends you down there?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I did not know that there was one that existed. I literally just kind of skipped it. And then
Yeah, I played it later too.
yeah, and then that also taught me that I can just kind of throw those bulbs instead of shooting them with my arrows, which I had been doing the whole time and running out of arrows very quickly.
Yep, I realized that much too late as well.
Yep, right, right. I had no idea.
I think I will say I think I knew I could throw them. I just didn't realize that it was just smarter to throw them.
Yeah,
because I was like, I think I was like, I wanted the distance, but then I realized like the distance.
You
really
actually throw the same distance as you shoot, pretty much. Yeah, that's what I realized too.
Yeah, the underground's interesting. There is definitely. I made the joke, I think the first week we were playing this, where I was like, Legend of Zelda, Stranger Things. There's definitely a moment where I was like, fucking Vecna. Like, and I can't tell it because it's super spoilery. But I was just like, they literally, I feel like they had to have ripped this straight out of Stranger Things. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But it's interesting. There's a lot there, and I just really, like I said, I had a great time with it. I'm also interested too, and I feel like this would be kind of, just kind of another topic we talked about last week, and this was a news story, but I think it's just kind of relevant to this here too. Like, we talked about how they spent a year bug testing this game.
Yes.
Which means, though, realistically, they probably spent a year using that team for other things as well. Because you figure like bug testers and programmers are probably doing a lot of that work, but it's a smaller fraction of that team.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo at least announces maybe like a first piece of DLC by the end of the year for this game.
Oh, easily. I think we'll see information on the DLC and have it released within 6 months.
Yeah, I think that will be kind of considering what we kind of loosely believe maybe Nintendo's timeline might be for the next year. It kind of makes sense. If they're going in the holidays, gearing up for a new system maybe early next year. It wouldn't surprise me if they're like, kind of use Tears of the Kingdom as kind of one of their big draws for this year, and DLC being, a big piece of that. I'd be interested to see what they do with it. I think there was some things that I've seen people point out that could be kind of, maybe like some features and stuff that, would be nice to have in DLC that were in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. Yeah. I'm using those game names interchangeably now.
It's really hard not to. I keep fucking up and like using one or the other by mistake.
I think it's called because they called it Breath of the Wild, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, for so freaking long that
probably
by the time they said the name was Tears of the Kingdom, we're like, oh, okay.
So Breath of the Wild 2, got it.
Yeah, so I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. I'd be curious. I feel like there's some areas that would be kind of like interesting for it. The only other thing I would say about this game, at least kind of like, this is kind of just my experience and maybe like common sense tip for it, but I almost never use the internet for anything for this. And I think that if you don't, you'll probably get a lot more enjoyment out of it. I mean, I still kind of looked at like just random Reddit videos and just kind of like, oh, that's crazy thing that people built or whatever.
Yeah, I had a friend that like gave me some information. Like, he's the one that said like, oh yeah, did you do the underground quest, which taught you how to do something? I was like, underground what? What are you talking about? So like, I think actually this is like a really good game that if like you and a friend are playing it to have like a conversation about, but not like have any like major spoilers,
Yeah,
and like you
exactly.
can
Kind of
like
that old
bounce off of each
school
other.
like
Uh-huh.
phone like NES kind of like tips handoff
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, I had a lot of really cool moments like that, and I kind of appreciate this game for that. I do think this game is major game of the year contender easily
Oh yeah.
already.
Hmm.
I do think this game is excellent,
Hmm.
and I do appreciate what they have done with the gameplay. It's great. It doesn't just feel like a DLC, like at all.
Oh no, not even like remotely,
No,
which I
not at
think
all.
boggles my
It
mind.
almost doesn't even feel like it's using the same engine or fucking map at times because of how different they've made things.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw someone make a joke somewhere, probably
Hmm.
Reddit, um, and I think it's a kind of like fitting, joke. But it was how'd they put it? They're like, basically Breath of the Wild was the demo, and Tears of the Kingdom's the actual game, kind of thing.
That's kind of fair.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They kind of did some stuff, and I think just kind of like my ride through this game, not really knowing where it was going to go,
Hmm.
um, especially like not really like spoiling like any like the kind of gameplay or kind of hints online.
Hmm.
Um, just it was kind of wild. Like I really just I kept on going twists and turns, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go into the final battle or whatever here, and it wasn't that at all. Um, it was just it was just surprising. Like I really kind of enjoyed the surprise of seeing everything play out, and especially not in the way that I would expect it to. I don't know how. I mean, I've not watched them, but apparently people have already speed run this game in like 90 minutes or less,
Hmm.
and even I find that hard to believe. I mean, knowing now kind of probably what you could do to speed this game along in some degree.
Right, well, listen to me. You gotta understand, speedrunners are crazy.
Oh, I know.
Like, they are legitimately crazy.
Oh, I know. And yeah, no, and even just, I mean, even that was one thing I always thought was kind of cool with Breath of the Wild. Where like, if you want to go right to Ganon, you can, and they did it again in this game. Where like, if you want to do it, you can do it. But this time they're like, you're like, go for it, bet, and because I don't know that final. Like, it's not just like the last game where it's like Ganon just hiding out in like the first room of the castle.
Hmm.
Like this one, you actually have to kind of work for it, and yeah, no, good luck. I don't know. I'm tempted to just almost see a video to see how they do it, because I'm having now seen what I presume is unskippable areas of the game that you have to go through. I am really curious how you do it with like nothing. So yeah, it's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, did I have anything else that I really want to say about it? I
It's
don't
a
think
great
so.
game.
Yeah, no, it's
There you go.
fantastic. And I'm sure I'll go back to it again. I'm taking a break right now because I just finished it and I'm just like, I've done a lot. I've seen a lot of this world. I know there's a lot more in there. There's still things I have not seen that I like. I definitively know that they exist in this game,
Hmm.
and I have not seen them.
I just saw
Um,
something that had me be like, wait, what? Like a house? I don't know where the hell that comes from, but a house? Like your own house in the
yeah,
game?
I found that yesterday.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
I didn't even get it. I just found that it was there.
Okay.
Like I know that it's like
That it
I'm like,
exists? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
it exists, and this is the quest to do it. And I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. I gotta kill Ganon. So I'm like, I don't care. I know where it took me forever to find that fucking town.
Mm.
And I just immediately took one of the transport pads and dropped it there because there's not a shrine that's even near it. It also had a very convenient, like one of those like goddess statues there, because the one I had been using was very inconvenient. So it took me. Hey, it took me. Speaking of tips, it took me a few hours to realize that there were goddess statues not just in one place in this game. And then it took me a few hours to realize
I can't
that.
find any of the other goddess statues. Where the fuck are they? Help me. Actually asking.
Oh, where did you? Which one have you been using? The one in the
So the
Temple
only
of Time or whatever? Or not Temple
uh
of Time? I don't even know what it is. The one in the
no, the
sky?
one that's a Dorito.
That's the one
Silly.
I have. That's the one I use for almost the entire game.
Same. That's all I've been using. Every
Because I
time I
found
need
that
to.
And I'm like, there's got to be one in like every town. The one in Terrytown, though,
Mm-hmm.
it's front and center. You can't miss it. So like as soon as you walk in across the bridge, it's right in front of you.
Okay.
So I just took one of my transport pads and just dropped it right there. And I was like, I'm just gonna or teleport pads and just like,
Okay.
did you get those yet?
No. So this
Oh,
is interesting news I'm hearing. Don't
yeah.
worry, it does not bother me, but that's interesting to know. Like I
Oh,
said, I have literally been exploring the map and not progressing story in any way whatsoever.
well, it's another one of those like quests that kind
Oh,
of it
that you
actually.
accidentally find. Okay, got it.
Well, it's not even so. It's tied off of that quest that you did from the underground, which I guess is why I assumed that you had done it.
Just did it. I literally just did. Oh, let me give you a little bit of background information. I did the underground quest on Thursday. No. I did the underground quest on Tuesday, like after we got off the like call and everything.
Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday, I went to Katie's doctor, and then from Wednesday until Friday, I was in the hospital with Katie.
Oh, did they figure
They
out what was going on?
well, the steroid panel that they had her on had lowered her immune system so much so that she had gotten a bad infection that put her in the hospital for days.
Oh,
Like they put
wow.
us up in a room and everything. We were like really, really in the hospital.
Yeah, that's at least they got it taken care of.
Well, that's the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got her some antibiotics for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we got out late on Friday,
Mm-hmm.
so her pharmacy was closed.
Mm-hmm.
What was Monday?
Oh, you got such jank hospitals in Georgia.
Literally, we didn't get her medicine until a few hours ago.
Yeah, that's wild. Because you know what? I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I think a lot of it's just because the hospital system that I worked with is actually pretty decent up here.
Yeah.
They had their own pharmacy in the hospital, so that
They,
they
they
would.
did too, but it closed before we left.
Yeah, no, they actually made a change so that ours would stay open 24 hours, and that
Yeah,
they
that would be
also made
smart.
it so that if patients are being discharged,
Hmm.
if they want to, they can get their prescriptions filled from the pharmacy there delivered to their room before they leave.
That would have been excellent. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
nothing
really
like that.
smart for the hospitals. I don't know why more places don't do it because you
Yeah,
feel like they would, benefit from it as well.
yeah,
But A, your patients aren't getting sent out without their medications, and B, if they're not getting sent out with their medications, then they don't have to come back and use the beds because they're getting sick again.
yeah.
So
Exactly. It was hell. This last week was hell. My
yeah,
mom was in the hospital for multiple days because she had to have surgery on her heart, and then Katie was in the hospital for like 4 days because of the infection. So
yeah,
I mean, it's not a good week last week.
no, it's not. You all need to stay out of the hospital.
Yeah, I agree.
Um. Anyways,
I only brought
yeah.
that up because I didn't get to play any Tears of the Kingdom because I did the thing where like me and Katie share the account on each other's systems
Oh
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
she can play my games offline on her
Mhm.
console and I can just play mine while hooked up to the internet. Because when would I ever need the internet to start up a game that I own? Except in a hospital where I don't have the ability to access the Wi-Fi with the Switch, so I couldn't even start up my fucking game.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, at least everyone's home now.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say though? The teleport pads. Yeah,
Yes.
it's tied off of one of the quests the underground quest.
Mm.
I think now that you finished it, you can actually go and do the other one. One of the characters basically told you what you need to do to activate the quest without spoiling too much.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So like it's just after I do that quest that it's gonna be an offshoot of that essentially.
Yeah, so you finish it, and like one of the two characters that were involved in that quest will basically
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Hey, come here and see me," and then you just have to go and do that. It won't activate that quest though. You have to go there and see them. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll give you whatever quest it is, and it's a very arbitrary quest. If you've been doing anything remotely, then you will
Okay.
already have everything you need to complete it.
Okay. Cool.
And actually, based on what you already said to me, you probably because this game will actually give you 3 teleport pads to use, um, depending on certain things that you've done. And I believe from what you've told me, you will get all 3.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah. No, it's a super useful feature. What else does he give you too? Gives you other things. The teleport pads. It unlocks 3 things. Hero mode.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know if you remember it. It was the teleport pads in hero mode were part of the DLC for Breath of the Wild.
I did not play all the way through the DLC, so I would not know.
They were unlockable things.
Okay.
Hero mode was not like a difficulty thing. Hero mode
Okay.
was that thing on the map where it showed you all the places that you went.
Oh, okay, never mind. I do remember that. Okay,
Yeah,
I need that.
where it
Actually.
basically looks like you can just look like scribbles on the map.
Yeah, I do.
And
I do need that.
it holds up to like 270 hours or something wild. Oh, and the last thing I think was it the I don't remember. I don't remember what the third thing was. Those are the 2 big ones though. Those 2 things.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
And I remember how we got into this. Oh, because we were talking about the goddess statues. Yeah. So I think I've only found 3.
Okay.
That were down on the surface. The Rito Village is the one I used the whole time. Terrytown, and then I found like another random one, and it was super inconvenient, and I would never use it again. So I don't even. It was so inconvenient. I don't even remember where it was.
Okay.
That's how inconvenient it was.
Nice.
Like I think it was just randomly in the middle of the jungle somewhere, and I'm like, I would never come back here again.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you want that one, sorry, I don't know where to tell you. But the Terrytown one is good. I said, get the teleport pads, drop one in Terrytown, and then it's super easy. Just
I gotta go to the Lost Forest also. I think that was something you said I needed to do there or whatever. Was it you that told me that?
I don't think I mentioned going to Lost Forest. I don't know if I told you. Like, it's a very cool moment going to Lost Forest.
Nope, it wasn't you. It was my friend because that's how you get the iconic thing.
Oh, is that where it is?
You just cut this. That's where the Master Sword is, isn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought there was a quest there that got you the Master Sword.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, it's just a tease. So there is. So what is okay? So let me rephrase.
You can actually stop because my friend it was baiting me into thinking that. So now I want to find out what happens.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So I guess you'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you find out, you can talk to me about it because I think you'll really enjoy going to Lost Woods. I think it was really interesting.
I gotta fucking find it, but yeah.
Definitely. What else? Anything else with Zelda you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Ready to move on to news?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
All right. So.
Lead away.
Okay, well, I want to start the news by saying this. All right. We talked about this ourselves earlier, but now we can actually share it on the podcast. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is coming to PC. That was announced today. Today being
part of the Sony conference?
No, it wasn't part of the Sony conference. Oddly enough. Very odd that they would leave that out.
Probably because they didn't want people to know.
I feel like it has to be something like that, right? Like, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't announce something that big at your conference. Because that's really big. Like, whether they want to admit it or not, that's huge. Releasing a Ratchet and Clank game on PC is like a big fucking deal. Comes out July 26th also, so it's close. That's a month away, and it came out of nowhere. So, yeah, that was not talked about at the Sony conference, which leads me to what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
Which is the Sony State of Play.
Oh, I'm sure it's excellent, as they always are.
This was one of the worst
conferences. We say that every time.
No. You do not understand. I am going to bring you through this. This is Sony's worst showing that they've ever had. Like, easily. Like, it's not a hype thing where they were, like, hyping it up like, oh, I heard there's so much stuff coming. You're going to be blown away by the Sony PlayStation Showcase. This, like, if this was a Microsoft conference, or if this was a Nintendo conference, this would be one of those throwaway in-betweener conferences, where nothing is talked about and everyone makes fun of them for not announcing anything.
Well, and I think part of the problem is just to kind of, just for me to speculate before you tell me what's in here.
Okay.
But I think part of the problem is because, you have all those I feel like it's just become like a really big issue over the last year or two, where it's like you have all these, quote unquote insiders that are like, oh my God, Sony's got all this stuff coming. They got crazy first party stuff that you've been waiting for. And they got a PlayStation Showcase coming up next week. And both of those things could be true. But the problem is the way that they say it, makes you think like, oh, if Sony has all this crazy stuff to announce and they have a PlayStation conference next week, surely they will announce crazy stuff at said conference. Which obviously is not what happened here.
So
but
I have a theory.
Like, oh,
I have a theory, actually. I think these insiders are just brain dead fanboys. Just typing something because they're big fans of a brand. I honestly do. I really honestly do. It's never good for Microsoft. It's never as good as it's presented for Nintendo. And this time, Sony's was like a major fucking letdown. Either quality is like really subjective now and people have shit standards, in the industry, or, and this is the one I'm leaning more towards, these people just want their clicks and their views and everything else, and they're just shilling for a fucking brand.
But the thing is, though, they do it for all of them. It's the same people that say the same things for Nintendo and the same things for Microsoft.
How many clicks do they get for all the Nintendo fans, all the Microsoft fans, all the PlayStation fans? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And this is the straw that broke the camel's back, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
This conference was awful. I'm going to go through every game in this conference.
Okay.
All 1 hour and 14 minutes of pure just mediocrity to completely stupid.
Okay.
All right. So I will tell you right now, I will set aside 12 minutes of this hour and 14 minutes and say that it was a good 12 minutes, but we already knew it was coming. So fuck off. It doesn't count.
Okay.
Plus, we also didn't get a release date. And I'll tell you when we get there what that 12 minutes was. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's start. We got a CGI trailer for a game named Haven. What is this? What is this game? It looks like it could be a very generic, boring battle royale. We got some nice trap hip-hop music, the normal, like, Y2K, not, like, computer hackery aesthetic, that sort of thing. These people breaking into the big place and stealing the thing, and another team doing the same thing, and it's just stupid. It's just a fucking stupid live service game that had no point being the opener for the conference. It looked really, really bad, and there was no actual gameplay shown at all. So that was great. That was a great start. And this is actually a Sony Interactive Entertainment LLC developed by Haven and Fair Games. So, like, this is what Sony thought would be a great opener. A, 30-second trailer that didn't tell you jack shit. And it was bad. It was bad. So that was our opener. And then we're going to move on to the next game. I'm literally just scrolling through this while I'm saying this. It was a PlayStation Studios game. Oh god, this one. This made me angry. All right, so this next game starts out with like a little trailer where it's like Super Earth, and they're like doing an advertisement. It's clearly a mock advertisement, and this game is just being like, this mock advertisement is being like silly and everything. And they get like attacked in the middle of the advertisement and die and everything, and then they're like talking about, oh, this wouldn't have happened if because. Does this look familiar to you? You're enjoying your day with your family, and then your wife and kids get torn limb from limb, and the blood splatters all over you because of the alien invasion? Well, maybe you should join our special forces, the Helldiver Forces. Now, Helldivers is actually a very good game. The original Helldivers was a really hard top-down isometric shooter with twin-stick mechanics that used lots of like roguelike elements. They turned it into a generic-looking third-person shooter.
Of course.
They turned it into a generic-looking third-person shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't look good. It looks bad, and it makes me very, very sad. So they announced Helldivers 2. That's what they announced, and it doesn't look good. Coming to PS5 and PC. All right, we're going to move on from that.
Yeah.
Oh god, the next game. All right, so the next game Yep, okay. This is one of the games that's an EA original. It is a first-person shooter where you use magic gauntlets to attack things, and it kind of looks like it's copying after Doom Eternal or Doom 2016.
Okay,
But
sounds
it
great so
has,
far.
yeah, but it has none of the charisma. The little cutscenes they showed look very stiff and boring. There's like nothing there. It's a whole lot of nothing. Like it's just nothing basically. It's this thing lasts like I don't know. Like I think the trailer is like a minute long. Yeah, it's called Immortals of Avium. It looks bad. I actually predicted about a month and a half ago that this would be the next really really bad PC port. I did not take into account that Lord of the Rings Golem existed and is probably one of the worst games released this year.
Yeah, I heard it was horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. And the PC port runs like actual dog shit. But yeah, Immortals Avium looks really bad, and I predicted that this would be the next worst PC port, but we're not there yet. It hasn't released yet, and Golem slid in and was like, let me take that crown, king. So we have to wait and see if it is one of the worst PC ports this year. But it just looks really, really bad. Like, it does not look fun. It looks really slow. It looks like if Doom Eternal was on fucking Ambien, essentially. It's so slow and, like, boring looking in the gameplay. And the trailer did not help it at all. We then had a 505 game. I believe that's what... Or is it level... No, 505 games game. I actually think this game looked good. Oh, let me tell you about a good
I was
game.
Just about to be disappointed.
Wait, why? What's wrong with 505 games?
Nothing really. I just feel like it's not like they're spotty. That's all. Sometimes.
Really?
I don't know if they are anymore. It's just they used to be when I worked at GameStop. Like
505 Games put out Death Stranding, Terraria, Control, and Ghost Runner.
Okay, what did they put out 10 years ago when I worked at GameStop?
That's a good question. Let me check. 10 years ago when you worked at GameStop.
Where's Wikipedia?
I'm already there. Payday 2, Abzu, Sniper Elite 3, Redout, Rocket League, How to Survive 2, Portal
World
Knights,
Championship Spelling, Pangram Mania, Spellbound Party, Spellbound 2, Salon Superstar.
Oh, okay, so they did a lot of shovelware before they made good games. Okay, I understand where you're coming from then. Because like they started making good games in like 2013 when they made Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which is a good game, right? Yeah. Are we in agreement there? Yeah. And then we have like Payday 2, which is also a good game. It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but it is a good game. And then they had Abzu, which I think is one of the better walking sim games because it's like a underwater, swimming sim, and that's like always pretty and really interesting. And then they had a massive hit with Rocket League. I think 505's actually been doing pretty good lately.
Well, and also too, I think we should also differentiate a little bit because I'm giving them shit for their games, but their publisher really not so much developer. It doesn't look like they've developed anything since 2011.
Correct. You are correct.
And some of their publishing stuff, they publish a lot. So, obviously you're going to have good stuff and you're going to have shitty stuff. And I think, honestly, it's even more like some of the published stuff that I was looking at that was kind of just like, oh, I don't know, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
There's some shit in there. There's some shit in there. But then they also had like Armor Core. They before, like, alongside FromSoft, they had some good shit there. And then like the games I just named, all of those are really good, especially Ghost Runner, which I actually think is a very big hidden gem from PlayStation 4 / early PS5 generation. And this game that they showed in the press conference is the sequel to Ghost Runner. And it looked fucking good, like really good. So I don't know if you know anything about Ghost Runner, but it's a one-hit kill, like super fast-paced action adventure game. So like if you get hit by anything, you fucking die, but you can instantly restart. So like the gratification is like, oh damn, I died. Okay, restart, boom, and then you're like your last checkpoint immediately, essentially. And this one they added like biking and racing and stuff to it as well, and it looked really good. It looked like a lot of fun. I actually think this was one of the standouts. There's a few standouts here, but I do think this was one of the standouts because I did like the original, and it is really fun. So, Ghost Runner 2 was the game that we saw, and it looked pretty good. So, yeah. And then, I think we saw another one of the good games at this conference, but this is going to be subjective, very much so, like with a grain of salt. This looks like a FromSoft title mixed with Devil May Cry, and it's like Project Blade Zero or something. This looked really cool. It's got like a lot of supernatural elements to it. It's got like really crazy weapons and everything. The gameplay that they showed off, like the actual like fighting mechanics, looked really cool, really interesting. I don't know what the story was. It looked batshit insane, but it looked really cool. So it's like, all right, neat, neat, neat. Now, this is not something that's going to like capture everyone and have them be like, oh, damn, that looks really good, you know? But like, for me, I thought this looked really good. It kind of had like a little of Metal Gear Rising. It had a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima in there. It had a lot of Neo. I'm gonna like post some of the trailers that I think stand out in the general chat. So if you want to check this one out, you can right now. It's like 3 minutes, but you can like kind of fast forward through it and see all the like really cool parts. It has like the look of Ghost of Tsushima mixed with like the elements of Neo, and then like the like cutting and like the blade play of like Metal Gear Rising and like a FromSoft title. And I honestly thought this looked really good and was actually quite a standout title. I've never seen this company before that I think is making it. I'm trying to think. Yeah, their like name is something like
It says S game in the trailer.
yeah, S game. I don't know who that is. Like I don't know what they've done. But I mean it's pretty cool. It was pretty fucking cool.
Looks really good.
Yeah, so like this one I think also stood out, and it was something different. It was something different, and at least for this trailer, it showed actual gameplay that looked very interesting and very cool. And so like I was like, oh, this is neat. Cool. I like this. Did it like you know, fucking wow me massively and make it be like, man, I need a PS5 for this shit? No, it didn't. But
no,
like,
it looks like a fun game if you have one.
It looks like a fun game. Phantom Blade Zero is the title, and it looks interesting. So, so there's that. That was our next title. Trying to think of the next one. Next one, I think. Yep. The next one is, again, not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but this might be fun, but it's definitely not something that I would see, like, shared at a main PlayStation showcase. This is something I would expect placed somewhere else, like in a different kind of showcase. So next one is the next game from the people that made Abzu and Journey and games like that. It really went from, like, high-octane action, crazy popping body parts off with blades to, like, sand surfing with ominous music, and it looked really neat. And it was like a kind of like whiplash moment in the conference when this came up. I was just like, what the fuck? But I mean, this is probably a game I would definitely play. I think you would probably check this out too, because I think you like some titles like this. I think you liked Journey, am I right? Yeah, so yeah. But again, it's the people that made like the visionary artists behind Abzu and Journey, so it's kind of got that same style as you normally would have, but it's nothing like a huge like, oh my god, I need this kind of title, like what we were led to believe, you know. Sword of the Sea is the name of the title. Looks really good. I actually recommend looking that one up. But here's the thing: some of these titles, when I see them, such as Sword of the Sea, I feel like it's just going to be one of those games that gets dropped on PlayStation's PS Plus Extra without saying anything, like the day it releases. Because that's something that Sony seems to do a lot. They like see an indie title and they immediately devalue it almost. They did it with Stray, which was a good game, and people seem to love that game. They did it with that game that just came out about the little girl that could like change into like any kind of object in the world and you could control her and everything, and it was really interesting, but it had a lot of technical issues and I didn't give it enough time. But I did think it was an interesting looking game, and they've been showing it off for like 3 years now. They did that with that, so it's like, you know, Sony talks a lot about like things devaluing when they're put on Game Pass, but then they dump these indie titles that look like they could actually be like really good games onto their service without even like giving a shit about them.
Yeah.
Like not even like really hyping them up when they've hyped them up for like years. And I feel like sort of Sword of the Sea might end up being another one of those titles. So there's that. Next game is Talos Principle 2. If you played the first Talos Principle, it's similar to one puzzle game you really liked, Mike.
Which puzzle game?
It was like an island where you solved
Witness.
puzzles on the island, huh?
The Witness.
The Witness. So yeah, Talos Principle has a lot of elements of like The Witness, and it was a fairly well-made game by the developers Cryo Team, I believe, the people that made Serious Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sequel to it. So again, another title that's sure to be good, but again, nothing jaw-dropping. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So there's that. So Talos Principle, cool looking game, but many people are not going to give a shit about it. It's definitely someone's cup of tea. I think it's going to be fun, but you know, whatever. Oh god. I can't watch this trailer because it'll just make me sad. The next game will. The one for the game by the creators of Gris. So Gris is a really good game, like a really good indie title, but like this trailer is like super artsy and everything, much like Gris is. But it's one of those ones that almost feels like it's telling you, cry damn it, cry damn it, cry damn it, buy our game, cry more. It almost feels like cry porn.
Okay.
Because like they kill a giant dog off in the trailer for this.
Yeah.
And it's like super stylized and everything. I think the interesting thing about this conference, right, is like going back and watching this now. It's called Neva, by the way. Neva reveal trailer. I'll post this one in for you because I know.
Oh, I think people were talking about that one.
What were they talking about? It
looked good.
It does look good.
Yeah.
And I liked Gris. I liked that game. It was a very good little indie title. Again, I do think it's just going to get lost in the storm of all the other titles that Sony likes to show off and everything. And I think for someone like me, a lot of these titles that were shown off are good to like okay. But when you take the showcase as a whole, right? And you take it and like have it as a showcase designed for Sony fans, and you take and compare it to past showcases from PlayStation, it is a dog shit showcase.
Are you just saying that because they just killed the dog?
No, I'm not. It made me sad though, because it's very depressing watting this.
Yeah, just look at it. It's very dramatic and very sad. And then there's the crying baby at the end.
Yeah, there's the crying baby dog at the end. Yeah, exactly. It looks good though. I will say that it's a Devolver Digital title, and if you know me, you know I love Devolver Digital. I think they're actually one of the best publishers out there right now. I think there are two really, really good publishers that are knocking it out of the park right now, and I think it's Capcom and Devolver Digital. Mm-hmm. I think if you wanted to ask me what publisher do I think has made the most hits in modern gaming, it's probably those two, easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, you really can't go wrong with either of those companies right now. Right now in 2023, you can't. So, hopefully, I don't eat those words later on this year.
No, you're right. No, they've been doing well.
Yeah. I mean, I love Devolver Digital. I think they're really fun. They have Adult Swim energy, essentially, where they're super wacky and over the top. And then they also
kind of a brand for, I feel the titles that they publish too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Neva's almost different for them, but it looks like it's good. Yeah.
Yes, but they also like to grab other indie titles and just give them a chance. That's another thing that Devolver Digital really, really does well. If a D comes up to Devolver Digital and is this is my idea for a game, they're pretty much going to look at it and be like, yeah, sure, we'll do that, whatever, fuck it. Yeah, that's kind of what they do essentially. And I mean, hats off to them. That's worked out for them so far, and it's worked really well. In case you did not know, Inscription was a Devolver Digital published title.
No, I did. Yeah.
Okay, you did know.
It's a great game.
Yeah. Great game. And if you haven't played Cult of the Lamb, also a great game, also Devolver Digital.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Let me move on though to our next title. Another good indie title that I think will be a lot of fun. Have you played Cat Quest?
No.
So I would recommend, since you have a Switch and it's often on sale, looking up the game Cat Quest.
Let me see.
It is a fun dungeon crawler, a lot like Diablo, but you play as a cat. There's a lot of silly cat puns, and it's like very charming and kind of feels like a throwback title that just doesn't take itself seriously and just is like, there's a plot, but you're a cat and you can do these things, and it's just kind of dungeon crawler, loot grinding, getting that sort of stuff. But you happen to be a cat, and it happens to be really charming and really cute. And the reason why I brought that up is because the next title that they showed at the PlayStation conference was the sequel to Cat Quest. So the third sequel, which is about pirates. So it's Cat Quest, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Huh?
I hate it. I hate that. Oh my. I think you just ruined this game for me. I even saw that when I just pulled up the game on the eShop, it had some stupid pun in the description.
All of them do. All of them do. But they're fun. They're really fun games that don't take themselves seriously. So yeah. Again, though, a title like that, a title like Neva, and a title like Talos Principle, those aren't the things you market towards PlayStation fans. Those aren't the things you use to hype up your conference. Those are the kind of things you would see in an indie Nintendo Direct. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the issue with this PlayStation conference in general. There may have been games that I enjoyed, but nothing made me go, damn, that looks really good. Except one thing. But I would have said that no matter what. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's move on to the next title. Several people have said our next title is, damn, Nintendo about to be out here suing Square Enix. Have you heard about this title?
Oh, yeah. It looks horrible.
The Splatoon knockoff that has to do with bubbles and soap being made by Square Enix. That's a live service title that showed us a nice CGI movie with some very, very basic gameplay that really didn't explain what we were seeing at all in any way, shape, or form. The characters looked like shit. The backgrounds in the background and everything looked more vibrant than the actual gameplay that we were watching, and it had a really bad overall design to its game. It didn't really tell us what we were looking at or anything. And it just felt really disjointed and why is this here? Yeah. It
looks, I don't even know how to, it's like the Wish version of Splatoon.
Yeah, it's kind of like, the meme, we have Splatoon at home. That's what this is. It's called Foam Stars, and it's joining PlayStation 4 and 5 in 2023. And we saw very little gameplay of this, which if you look at a lot of the main titles or several titles that looks kind of flashy like the PS5 titles, you will notice that is a big trend with this conference / showcase. You will actually see in the bottom of the screen, not actual gameplay, written there on so many things.
We can't just dog Sony for this, though, because I feel like every time I watch one of the Microsoft showcases, I say the exact same thing.
You are 100% correct. You're 100% correct.
Number one takeaway from any of these presentations, because nobody shows gameplay. And be like, I don't know the fuck I just watched. It's a cool concept. And actually, I think that's exactly how I remember thinking about, what was it, Redfall, when they showed that game off. But no, it's a cool concept, but they didn't show anything. I'm like, I don't know what game
And we saw what happened to Redfall, didn't we?
Exactly, and it's maybe we would have seen warning signs if they showed it off. I mean, I don't know, but I always see if you're going to show off a cool trailer but no gameplay is a massive red flag. It's not always the case, but I feel like if you are not confident enough to show off gameplay, then you have an issue with this game.
Yeah, I agree. So the next game, I have looked forward to this next game since I saw it at the Microsoft conference a year or two ago. This next game is called The Plucky Squire.
Okay.
This is a top-down kind of like Zelda-like game where you're playing inside the pages of like a children's book. So you go from like one side of the children's book to the other side of the children's book as you're like turning the page and that sort of thing. However, your character also has the ability to move outside of the realms of the children's book into the real world, because this is presented as you being in like a child's bedroom, that sort of thing. And again, I'm going to post this one so you can see it because it's really hard to explain. But this game was shown off during the Microsoft conference like 2 years ago as well. And I've looked forward to this game ever since I've seen it because I think it looks really, really good. And I will say this once again, I'm pretty sure this is a Devolver Digital title. I'm not 100% sure. Is it? It probably isn't. Let me see. What are you?
I'm watching it right now.
It's Devolver Digital. Yeah, of course it fucking is. Look at it though. It looks so cool, doesn't it?
Yeah. I like the art style.
I love it too. And like you see how like later on in the trailer you actually leave the pages of the book and then turn into
as you were saying.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And then it like becomes a whole nother kind of game. I think this game looks excellent. This is probably one of the indie titles I'm most looking forward to, aside from like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and now Rift of the Necrodancer. This is probably one of the games I'm looking most forward to when it comes to like indie titles. This game looks excellent.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I've seen this game, it's looked
fan
excellent.
Of this trailer. Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this one, totally fine by me. I love seeing this trailer and love seeing that it's actually releasing this year. I'm really happy about it. So there's that. So I actually don't have a complaint about this. I would just recommend going and checking out the trailer for Plucky Squire, because I do think it's something that you kind of need to experience yourself to like kind of understand what they're going for here, because it's really hard to explain what you're looking at, more or less, because of the way the art style is done, and then the outside of the book art style is done differently, and it's really interesting and different in a way. And I think there needs to be more interesting games and just cool things like this shown off. But, and I will say this again, a really good indie showcase would show this, not Sony's hyped up fucking PlayStation showcase. So, because Sony has this way, right? Sony has this thing where they kind of like, they want to point to graphics, they want to point to like, you know, being the best. They want to point to experiences. And I think the reason why this conference / showcase did so poorly for them is because they actually showed fucking games.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the kind of games that their fans wouldn't care for. And also people that are going to look for a PlayStation showcase aren't looking for. This is something I would think weird innovation Microsoft. I would think weird innovation Nintendo. I would think a PC conference. I wouldn't think Sony. And that's fine. That's fine. They're doing different things and it works for me in some cases, but even if I like these games, the overall conference is again showing me things I already knew about and also showing me things that don't fit their brand and what they hype up and this, that, and the other. Like, out of everything I have told you, I think there has been one Sony game that actually showed us gameplay, and it was that really cool Project Zero Blade that didn't give us a release date or anything else.
Uh-huh.
Like, everything else has just been, yeah, it exists.
Yeah.
So.
We're here.
Yeah. Next it showed Teardown. Teardown I have talked about before. This is a PC game that's coming to PS5. This game is awesome. I highly recommend it. It'll probably also come to Xbox. I think Xbox even said it is. So if you have a chance to check this out, Mike, when it comes to Xbox, if it does, which I think it is, you should play this game. It's really cool. So how this game works is you have a mission, like go and steal a safe, but everything is made out of voxels, and everything is breakable. So your mission is to find the best way to destroy everything to get to your objective and then steal it and get back to the like exit point.
Mhm.
But, like, there's so many different ways you can do so, and this trailer kind of showed off a lot of that. Like, you can drive cars through buildings and wreck them. You can, like, put explosives on a car and then drive it into a building, then detonate it and blow up the entire building, taking out its structural integrity and just demolishing the entire thing and grabbing what you need and leaving then. Really cool idea, really neat, great indie title. I played this on PC, and it's excellent. I'm very glad that consoles are getting it now. It'll be interesting to see how it works, since every single individual piece of this game is destructible. So this kind of, at first when it launched on PC, brought several PCs to their fucking knees. So I'm interested in seeing how this works on consoles, to be completely honest. Because yeah, even though it has like voxels and it's very cartoony, the like lighting system and the destruction physics of this game, again, I'm posting so you can see, because this is one I care about. The lighting system and the destruction physics of this game are anything but, like, you know, cartoony graphics that are really easy to run. There's a whole lot more pieces here than just, you know, oh, this looks like an N64 game, because like it has like, I think, a full day-night cycle, full ray tracing, you know, lighting, as well as like shadows and all this other stuff. And you can tell when you actually look at the game that there's a lot of moving parts here. Mm-hmm. And honestly, from the gameplay that they showed, it looks like it's running pretty well on PS5 at least. And yeah,
okay,
so it's good.
No, this looks pretty rad.
It's an awesome game. I highly recommend this one. Like I said, I played this on PC, so this was nothing new to me, but this is a new, interesting, like innovative kind of idea for a game. And it really does work. So if you even think this remotely looks pretty cool, you should definitely check it out when it comes out.
I just like the kind of mix of the art styles,
right?
Yeah,
because it's like kind of like Minecraft / like, you know, 3D Dot Heroes looking, but then like it has like realistic lighting that looks like really cool. And yeah,
and the explosions too.
Explosions are like super like really nice looking.
Yeah.
So I'm going to present you with a lot of indie titles that you're gonna probably like, because you and we have this taste in games where it's like we'll try something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, again, this isn't something you would expect to see on a Sony showcase, which is great that they're branching out, but I don't think it really worked for them, to be completely honest. And then,
because I think the big thing is with, I think Sony really needs to realize it too. It's, it's about setting the expectations, and that's kind of where, they lose focus here. If this had been interspersed with Sony games, it probably would have been a great presentation. But because they decided to, leave expectations unknown and let hype get too high, and then not give people what they were looking for, you kind of presented a third party showcase with, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and that's unfortunately unfavorable to these games, even the ones that do stand out.
Exactly, because I think I can present you with enough good games that were shown here that you and I will care about, that we can play elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's essentially how I feel about a lot of this. Sony likes to point out, PlayStation experiences you'll only get on PlayStation. That was also something they kind of hinted at going into the showcase. And like, none of these are that. And that's kind of where the problem lies. Like, if you want to move more in a direction of like what Microsoft is doing, where you're a more open and inclusive and company where you want everyone to be able to experience your products, you should probably start doing that instead of like subtly doing it without saying you're doing it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Which brings me to my next game, which I think this is the worst trailer of the entire day. This is the trailer for Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake.
Okay.
This trailer is dog shit. Like, it is actually awful. When you are watching this trailer, at no point other than the big Konami sign in the top right-hand corner, which, if I recall correctly, and I'm actually going to go back and look, is nowhere in the original conference of the Sony showcase. Like, that doesn't exist there, but in the trailer that I'm showing you, it does. It is a not actual gameplay trailer, where we follow an ant that then is crawling on a dead like animal. I think it's a frog that then gets picked up by a bird, dragged into some like electric fence, dragged over some water. The bird then lands, and then I think it gets eaten by a crocodile. Yep, it gets eaten by a crocodile, and then an anaconda attacks the crocodile, and then we go underwater, and then we slide down a bit. We slide down, we slowly see someone coming out the back, and in the shadows, and then we zoom in, and we get really close to the face, and it's Snake. And then we hear the music for Snake Eater play, then we look up to the sky and the trees, and then we see Metal Gear Solid, I think, is it Delta? Or is it Beta? Snake Eater.
Delta.
Yeah, Delta Snake Eater. And that's it. That's our trailer. This trailer is trash. If you wanted to hype people up for Snake Eater, you did not do it with this trailer. It is very poorly made. It doesn't do anything for the game or the brand at all. And the best part of this trailer is what comes after it, where they announce that Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 will all be releasing in autumn of 2023 on PS5 as a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. Volume 1. Volume 1 is what we have here.
Okay.
Which means there could be a Volume 2. Which means it might be possible that we finally get Metal Gear Solid 4 on something other than the fucking PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
So there's that. So the best part of this entire trailer was the literal end card where it told me I can play the other good Metal Gear Solid games on PS5, which it didn't actually tell you, but it's also going to be on PC and also going to be on Xbox as well. So I'm going to go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off right now.
I wonder if they're going to get David Hayter back for this.
I don't know either. So I don't know what this next game is. I kind of zoned out when watching this one. I think it's Dreamlit, maybe? But it's just kind of there. It doesn't really make much sense. Like, it's trying to be, like, shown off as, like, this big, huge, expansive world. But it also kind of looks like... I don't know. It looks kind of like nothing. It kind of seems like it has a real identity crisis where you have like crafting and chopping of wood, and then you have like big expansive open areas where you like jump off and you like hang glide, and there's another part where it shows like base building, and then like they're like flying around this really pretty place, and they're like riding on this weird animal, and then they're underwater doing this deep sea diving, and then you're fighting with a bow and arrow, and then like it's so disjointed, this trailer is, that it tells us zero about the game. Like, nothing. Like, what kind of game is this? What is the purpose of this? Why are we here? What is going on? None of that is explained to you in this trailer. It's just kind of like, look at the pretty things, look at the pretty things, look at the pretty things, and we're done. And that's it. I see a lot of people saying, like, this is the best trailer of the entire showcase, and my thoughts are you fucking high? Because there's nothing here that really makes me care about this game, other than just being like, oh, that looks pretty. There's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of the, like, worst, like, maybe the second worst trailer, in my opinion. We then move on to another game that I'm very excited about, which is... But this is like the 375th trailer for Final Fantasy 16. Did we really need another trailer for Final Fantasy 16?
Yeah, of course you did. You could never have too many trailers.
Exactly. I feel like they're going to tell me the entire story with all the trailers they keep releasing every Sony showcase. I mean, again, Final Fantasy 16, it looks like a great game. It looks really fun, but I mean, we already know Final Fantasy 16 exists. I didn't need to like know that again. We then moved to the literal, in my opinion, best moment of the entire conference.
Yeah.
It's showcase. No. The end's one of the worst. We'll talk about that later. So, you and I talked about this last week. We said, it's supposed to be releasing in 2023. Maybe we'll get a like release date for it at the PlayStation showcase. And I'll be damned if you weren't right. I am so happy that this happened. It is a trailer for Alan Wake 2, and holy shit, does it look good. It looks so good. So, Yeah, this one I have zero complaints. This
That's
looks
good.
excellent. I'm so happy that we got this, and we actually got a fucking release date with this trailer as well. It's coming out in October of this year, so it's
Oh,
still
perfect.
still set to be releasing this year. I believe they said the 27th. Don't want to like quote myself on that, but I do believe this was announced for everything.
17.
17th. Thank you. October 27th. I do believe this was announced for everything though after the show. So PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. Release date. Let me double check.
It's on the trailer. It says 17.
No. I was trying to
Oh.
see if it's also coming to Xbox. Yep, Series X, Series S, Windows, PlayStation 5. It's coming to all the major consoles on the 17th of October. And this trailer, honestly, it looks excellent. It looks so good. I'm really super excited. We see like a new character who we will probably also be playing as. It looks really good. Like really, really good. Graphically as well as like just from a game standpoint. I'm super excited to see what happens with this. This trailer doesn't really give much of anything away, leaves everything like super ambiguous and like you trying to figure out what's going on throughout the entire thing. And then we end with a cop out interviewing Alan Wake and then asking him, "What is your name?" And he just stands there staring blankly, not knowing what to say. So we might have like a element where like he's like kind of lost his identity or something, or like doesn't know who he is, maybe through
Mm-hmm.
amnesia or some other thing, because he just looks super confused when she asked him this. And this looks awesome. This looks awesome. I'm so excited that we got a trailer for this. This is the thing that made me very, very happy about this showcase, and probably the one thing that I think actually saved it. And to be completely honest,
Okay.
I want to like make it clear. This showcase is probably like a 4 out of 10 for
Mm-hmm.
me, in my opinion. Like it's really bad. Like even like bad PlayStation showcases, they're at least like a 6 or like a 7. But like this is like really bad. Just with the pacing, the amount of bloat, just the fact that so many things didn't really give us much of anything. But like this one trailer for Alan Wake 2, and yes, I am biased because I fucking love Alan Wake, and I think it's an excellent like series, and it's got the spookies and all that good stuff. And I'm really happy just to find out that it's actually releasing this year still. But this brought it up from like a 3 to a 4.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks really good. Trailer looks
Oh
really
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. We then were shown Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is going back to original Assassin's Creed. So like Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Black Flag. We're going back to that style of Assassin's Creed with it. So it's very traditional. And it does look like a breath of fresh air going back to old Assassin's Creed after quite a while. I think like 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 at this point.
Mhm.
I don't think it looks bad, but I also just didn't care, to be completely honest. I
Yeah.
really didn't care. But I don't think it looks bad. So like if you like Assassin's Creed, yeah, you'll probably like this. It'll probably be good. But October 12th for that one. After that we were shown another indie title which looks a lot like Night in the Woods but isn't.
Okay.
It just shows them running through this and like kind of showing off some of the characters. It looks very quirky and like it'd be at least something different. So it's probably gonna be like a walking sim, um, with the feels in it essentially. So there's that. That was called Revenant Hill, I think. Yeah, Revenant Hill.
So
There you go.
I'm not a fan of the name of the title, but whatever.
Why's that?
I don't know. It just seems like I don't know. Like
It
I
feels
don't
kind of
know.
throwaway-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. Like there wasn't much shown there, and then it didn't really tell me anything either. Next was a very niche title. So this game's actually been in development since 2017, I believe. And it is the RPG version of a mobile gotcha game that
Okay.
has been hyped up for quite a while. And this is like a JRPG continuing the story of it. Called Grand Blue. Like, have you ever heard of like Grand Blue Fantasy? Yeah, I think it's Grand Blue Fantasy or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
So it's like a really popular mobile game with like gotcha elements and everything. And for a while now, they had talked about making a JRPG out of it, and they've actually shown some trailers. And the next game that we got was actually a trailer confirming this game still existing and coming out in 2023 in the winter. So very, very niche title, but I do think this looks really good. And if you like JRPGs like the Tales series, I think you'll probably like this because it looks a lot like a Tales game.
And Tales games are always good.
Yeah, absolutely. We then were shown Street Fighter 6, which comes out in a few days. So, I mean, we got our 1000th trailer of Street Fighter 6. But you know what? If we're gonna see our fucking 700th trailer of Final Fantasy 16, whatever, you can have your 1000th trailer of Street Fighter 6, especially since it's releasing this week. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's releasing this week, so it kind of makes sense, I guess, in a way. And I did think this was a good trailer, so there's that. Showed off the stuff you get that's exclusive and all the other stuff. This next game is fucking Drug Trip. It looks like a Metroidvania made by someone on acid.
Okay, I like it.
I'm trying to figure out what this game is called because it really, really stands out. Ultros? I think this is it. Ultros? Yeah, Ultros.
Okay.
It's crazy looking, but there's not a lot to go off of here. It really does look like a drug-induced Metroidvania. Okay.
I like just the cover for it.
Yeah, the art style is really good too, and it's really cool looking.
Oh, I really like this art style.
Right? It's crazy. It's out there. It's super psychedelic. But yeah, that was announced and shown off, and again, it feels a lot like, okay, why'd you do that? We were then shown Perfect World's MMO called Tower of Fantasy, which already exists on PC and recently came out a few months back, and they announced it for PS5. But it's not really that good. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna move on because I don't care. I'm sure someone did.
I'm sure someone does.
All right, what's a Capcom property that you don't think would come back? And if you already know the answer, then just tell me you already know the answer. I'll give you a hint. PS3, Xbox 360.
Oh, it had one?
Yeah, that's where the first game came out, and there's never been a sequel.
Capcom.
It was also released on Switch about a year or two ago.
Oh, sick.
And then a HD version was put out for PS4 and Xbox One.
Okami.
No. Think even more obscure.
Okay. Well, so it was originally a PS3, Xbox 360 game, you said?
Yes.
I have no clue.
Dragon's Dogma 2 was the next trailer we got.
Oh, I knew that game existed already.
You knew it already existed? It was from the leak, from the Capcom leak a while back.
Was it? I swear they announced it before.
I do not think there has ever been a Dragon's Dogma 2 trailer. Let me double check. See, 2 days ago, 6 days ago, 2 days ago, 10 hours ago. Six days ago. There was an announcement of it existing last year with nothing shown off.
Okay.
During Dragon Dogma's 10th anniversary, they said, yeah, we're making Dragon Dogma 2. That's it. That's as far as they went. Okay. So apparently last year they just said, yeah, it exists. And that was it.
I'm not crazy. I didn't.
You're not crazy.
I
had forgotten. So you know what? You're right there. But
okay. I didn't realize they didn't show off a trailer for it. That's how little I cared.
Nothing for it. They just said, yeah, we're making it. So we got next in this PlayStation showcase. Again, a thing that I think was the best part of the showcase. Dragon's Dogma 2 trailer. And you know what? It looks really fucking good. I'm excited for this one. This looks really good. So, happy about this. Very happy. I don't have much else to say other than, it looks good, and I'm happy to see Dragon's Dogma 2. Because I feel like the first game was, super underrated. So underrated for what it was. It has a lot of elements that were very ahead of their time, in my opinion.
I feel like that was a game that it was definitely, at least in my experience when I worked at GameStop, very underappreciated when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one that definitely grew in popularity over time.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yes. I mean, it got an HD release like 2 years ago, so it definitely grew in popularity.
yeah, nobody cared about it when it came out.
Yes, I
And
agree.
then just like after years and years, people are just like really into it.
I mean, it's got a lot of elements to it that are very different from any other kind of action RPG game.
Mhm.
So I posted the trailer if you want to check that one out. I think this looks excellent. To be
Yeah, this
completely
looks good
honest.
from what I'm looking at right now.
So yeah, this was another very nice surprise. Moving on, we got a not actual gameplay trailer of a little CGI trailer for the next Five Nights at Freddy's game.
Okay.
Help Wanted 2. That's it. And then they were like, comes out late 2023, and that was it. And then we got about 20 minutes of VR games.
Oh wow, I'm surprised they wasted that much time on VR games.
Oh, they sure did. They're really trying to sell the PSVR 2.
Too late.
So, I will say the first VR game they showed
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a VR game, but a VR experience / add-on, and it was the best one they showed. And it was Resident Evil 4 Remake VR.
Okay.
So, pretty happy about that. I do think that'll be great in VR. I did really like the remake of Resident Evil 4, in case I haven't said that before.
PlayStation VR exclusive.
It doesn't look like it is from what I'm seeing. It looks like the VR mode will be coming to like different things. And it was just saying like, oh, it's in development. We then were shown, I'm just going to go through these super quick because no one cares. And we then were shown Arizona Sunshine 2, which Arizona Sunshine, a very good zombie VR game. Lots of really cool moving parts there that work really, really well in VR. It was just kind of CGI trailer, very silly, very tongue-in-cheek. Looked great. So, there you go. Just telling you that it's going to exist. We then saw Crossfire VR, which if you remember, that was one of the worst games that was released on Xbox Series X. So that's kind of cool that they were like, hey, why don't we release that in VR for fucking PS5? It looked bad. It didn't look very good. It looked like a poor man's like Call of Duty, essentially.
Okay.
It is kind of super mid, essentially. It wasn't very good. So, yeah,
I mean,
moving on.
Games for the VR.
I guess. They were then shown like a weird first-person shooter where you go through different wave-based enemies and try to figure out what's going on and blah blah blah. Oh, there's so many first-person shooters like this. You can use your left hand, to control objects around you and throw them at enemies and whatever. It's called Synapse, and it looks very generic. Didn't look very good. We then were shown, and this is actually pretty good because I know it's going to come to everything else, but it also doesn't matter because if you play Beat Saber on PC, you know how extensive the modding scene is and how much better a lot of their note charts are than like the main game. But they announced a DLC pack for Beat Saber that is Queen themed, so that's pretty cool.
Okay. Like Queen, like the band, right?
Yeah, the band Queen. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, it looks like it was 10 minutes, not 25. Not 20. My bad. So we'll chalk that up to me misremembering because it was just that boring. We then got this game that looked like a battle royale where a bunch of people were fighting in this like open area. And like when they got shot, they turned to like this blue goo, and it was like taking place on this like giant tower that went through the entirety of a moon, and then like came out the bottom and the top, and it looked like you had to like climb the tower and fight through these different waves and everything. And then we got the announcement of what this game was called, and that is when I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" The game's called Marathon.
Okay.
Yes, it's that Marathon.
Okay.
The first game made by Bungie way back when. And it is developed by Bungie again. It looks like they've turned it into a generic battle royale game. And it looks really bad. I hope I'm wrong and the trailer just didn't like show it off correctly. But it kind of looked like that. Bungie then showed us a new DLC coming out for Destiny 2 because they release a new one of those every time someone sneezes.
Mm-hmm.
And this DLC showed off Cade, which is a fan favorite, who was killed off about 4 expansion packs ago, and he's talking to one of the main characters, just back alive out of nowhere for no reason. It feels very desperate, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe we're getting to like the end of the lifespan for Destiny 2, kind of desperate. And the title is called The Final Shape. And they said tune in 8/22 of 2023 to learn more about this at the Destiny showcase. So, yeah. We then were shown a game that was called... Fuck, what are you called? I don't actually know what this game was called because it was here and gone so incredibly quickly. Concord is the trailer we got. Concord showed a ship, and it kind of panned around what was existing inside the ship, and then it showed it go into hyperdrive, and then it was done. We saw no gameplay. We saw no characters. No one really spoke. We don't know what this is. It just kind of appeared and then left, and that was it. It was a whole lot of nothing. We then got the best trailer in the entire conference. A trailer for Gran Turismo the movie.
What?
You see my sarcasm here?
Oh my God.
We got a trailer for Gran Turismo the movie.
No.
Next. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We did. We went from VR to Bungie to Gran Turismo the movie, the trailer. Oh, this is where it starts getting really bad, Mike. This is where it starts getting really bad. I think once they went into the VR portion, that's when it started getting really bad.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it took a very dramatic turn. But
yeah.
This didn't sound... I mean, as much as you were like, oh, this is bad, it didn't sound
bad.
It
was bad because of the way it was paced.
Yeah.
Like, I explained a lot of these games very quickly to you and showed them to you very quickly. But they stretched this out into like an hour and a half nearly.
Mm-hmm. And
hyped it up for several months. You understand why, even though I'm enjoying these kinds of games, one, a PlayStation fan wouldn't. Many would not. Many of their main demographic would not care. And two, it's really just not the quality you come to expect from what Sony would put on in their showcases.
Yeah. No.
And the pacing is fucking terrible, like I said.
No, the pacing does sound terrible.
It gets worse. Because we got a trailer for Gran Turismo. And then we moved on.
Is this the end cap movie or no? Like,
what?
Is this the last thing?
Oh no! No, it's not. It's not. It gets worse.
Okay.
All right. We then had Jim Ryan appear and be like, "All right, before we get into our next and final game, I have a few announcements to share. I like to bring innovation to the Sony brand, and as such, I would like to present to you a remote play console."
Oh, I forgot about this fucking thing.
No. And he then showed off the remote play console, which I shit you not, is just a PlayStation controller stretched out really far, and then they slapped a tablet in the center of it, and it looks like a Wii U gamepad.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it, and I saw...
You probably thought it was Photoshop because of how bad it looked, am I right?
It does look Photoshop. That's what I thought at first. And I was just because that's why I was like, is this they had finally announced it? What? And I kind of figured it was a
We got a little trailer showing it, but it didn't really show anything other than being like, it exists, check it out. And they kind of like gave it like a whole big like thing, like a big hubbub, like, I've got an innovative announcement to make. And then like he shows off this, which looks like garbage.
This isn't innovative. Did you not learn anything from the Wii U? This is exactly what the people didn't like about it.
But he's not done. Because I don't think you saw this, what comes next. Because he then shows a trailer for the Sony earbuds that they will be releasing as well.
Why do we need Sony earbuds?
And they look like AirPods.
Well, of course, because that's what everyone likes these days. So just use what's good.
Yeah, and it's just...
Don't innovate.
They're like, look, Sony earbuds with new wireless technology to deliver lossless, low-latency audio and extending quality while you're playing. And I shit you not, he took like 5 minutes explaining this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm
After
really
hyping
didn't
up
do
about
price
being
points.
innovative,
These price points are gonna be fucking stupid. I don't even have
they
to
are.
see them yet.
They are. They're going to be
This
really dumb.
that stupid handheld console is probably gonna cost as much as the Vita did,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know.
And it doesn't
I,
play games natively.
yeah, I just don't understand what they thought was a great idea about
It's
this.
stupid. It is the dumbest shit ever. I feel like Sony has just become a yes man to the point where like they'll just do anything
Yeah, it's like
because
they're
they
not
know
even taking
their
it.
fans will eat it up and then like be like, oh man, I gotta defend the fuck out of Sony. I
You
gotta
know
do
what?
it. I gotta do it.
It's like that quote from Jurassic Park where Ian Malcolm was like, you're so preoccupied wondering if you could do it, you didn't take the time to think about whether or not you should.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what they've been doing with the VR, with this headset,
Hmm.
with these earbuds. Like it's like they're just like, hey, what would be a great kind of thing to go along with PlayStation? Like, oh, people like headphones. They like to talk on things. They like to hear things that's from the game. Like, oh, let's make Sony earbuds. Let's just make them like AirPods because those are popular right now. Throw them right out there. Oh, what else do people like? Oh, people like the Switch because sometimes they can't use the TV and they want to play in their hands.
Yeah.
All right, let's just shut out a quick little handheld console and make it so that you can play it within 5 feet of your PlayStation 5. That sounds really cool. That's a great idea. Oh, what's great? VR? Oh, everyone loves VR, and people got tons of money to spend on it right now.
Let's make a VR headset that's more expensive than our console.
Yeah,
It's a great idea.
Spared no expense. To keep up our Jurassic Park analogy. Like this is literally Jurassic Park PlayStation 5.
So I want to share this a little story with you before we move on to what is actually what most people would say is the best part of the conference, because we will extensively talk about this last part. So I'll share a little story with you. Jim Ryan also recently said, as I mentioned before, that he talked to fans of Sony that stated they're okay waiting 3+ years or more to be able to play Sony games and exclusives on their PC. And he has now realized that those people were fucking stupid, and that is not the people that he should have been talking to in the first place. And that kind of brings the Ratchet and Clank thing that we talked about earlier, like to a head. Like I feel like he kind of had that mentality where like, oh, the Sony fans, they don't want games on PC. No one wants our Sony games on PC. They want to just keep the games for themselves. When and I had a conversation with someone, they were like, why would Sony want to sell their games on another platform when they can force people to buy a PlayStation 5 instead? And when a Sony fan tells me that, it tells me like two things. One, you have fucking brainworms. And two, you don't understand how business works. And I wrote to them, and obviously they never wrote back, but I wrote to them. God of War 2018 on PC sold $45 million worth on Steam day one alone. That's a lot of money that you leave on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be thinking, okay, well, they could just get a console and also do that. Well, you're not understanding that Sony has to pay to make their consoles. Sony's making a loss on their consoles, as are many other places, I think, except Nintendo, obviously. They're making a loss on their console sales. Why would Sony want to do that when instead they could just sell it on another platform and make, after the 30% revenue split, at least $31 million clean without having to pay anything else, such as take into account the console manufacturing price or anything like that? That's just $31 million that they got there for releasing a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is so easy. That is so dumb. Why would a company not want to release their games day and date? It just doesn't make any sense to me when you think about it from a logical standpoint and not a fanboy standpoint. And fanboys are that stupid that they don't understand this. And I think, honestly, that is who Jim Ryan spoke to when it came to both this fucking showcase and their head earbuds and their remote play console and the Gran Turismo movie. Mm-hmm. And And like just in general, all these things that are like actual fucking garbage is all because they become so complacent because Sony fans will eat up any shit and smile still. But if you look at it, many Sony fans were like, this entire conference was dog shit. What were they thinking? And have now immediately turned on Sony. And Sony's like, oh God, why did I listen to them in the first place? Holy shit, I was an idiot. Because they became so complacent that they thought they could just throw anything out there and that their fan base would accept it because they're Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brought us to this point. And that's a real problem with consoles in general. It goes with Nintendo when it comes to things like, look at how bad the Switch runs games. But it doesn't matter because Nintendo fans are going to eat that shit up, you know? No one's really started complaining until we started having those bad Pokemon games. You know what I'm saying? And now we're starting to get more people with eyes on Nintendo and being like, guys, you need to step your shit up. Where's your next console? Where's it at? Where's it at? And their fans are actually not dealing with this shit anymore. And now Sony fans are looking at something like this conference and being like, the fuck was that? Why would you make me sit through a fucking trailer for a video game based movie? Why did you announce earbuds and a remote play console? Why'd you have that hyped up, you know?
We can complain all we want, but, it all depends on the money.
It does, and you're right. You're 100% right. But, like, what I'm just saying is, I feel like that's why, with modern gaming, we've kind of gotten to this point where we get bad ports, we get poorly running consoles, we get poorly running games, we get shit like this given to us and served on a silver platter and being made out to be the best thing ever because manufacturers think they can just, I mean, not manufacturers, but companies think they can just get away with this shit because so many people will just eat up anything and like smile and ask for seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of gotten to that point where like now those same people are being like, all right, I ate up a lot of shit, but I ain't eating up this shit, you know? Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to be like, oh God, we shouldn't have listened to them in the first place. They don't know what they want, and they'll turn on us at the drop of a dime. We should have just kept doing what we were doing, which was making good products, instead of becoming complacent in the console market, in the PC market, in the fucking mobile market, in the any kind of market, period, and just doing whatever, because you guys would defend it no matter what. They've realized now that they just couldn't coax by on that forever, and now it's kind of like, oh shit, what have we done? Now that I've gotten all of that out there, it's time to talk about what many Sony fans will say is the best part of this conference. And I am not going to discount it and say that this is bad. I thought this looked excellent. I did. It's Spider-Man 2. We saw Spider-Man 2 gameplay. And I'll say this right now. There are lots of really cool elements to this trailer. We start out with Kraven, which, if you know, like, Spider-Man lore and this, that, and the other, and, like, Sinister 6, I think. I don't know a lot of Spider-Man. Sorry. If you know all of that shit, you know it's pretty cool to have Kraven here. That's kind of neat. So like, first of all, we're putting front and center like a villain that you don't normally see as like, you know, a major villain in Spider-Man. So neat, really cool, really neat, and it works very well for like what they were showing off for this trailer. How he's like hunting down, like the Lizard, which is another villain we don't see a lot in Spider-Man. And this leads him to hunting down Spider-Man as well. Both of them, both Miles Morales and Peter Parker. And we see in this that Peter Parker has kind of become possessed, a bit like his Spider-Man 3 self, but instead of being goofy, he's just angry at all times because he's been kind of controlled by the symbiote suit. So, you know, the Venom suit. And I will say, this suit looks awesome because it kind of like wiggles around and moves and kind of looks like skin and all this other stuff that's like grafting itself onto him. And like the actual design of the suit, really, really cool. The actual designs of his moves, super cool. The like general idea of what they're going for here with Spider-Man 2 looks awesome. I am very excited for this game. I think it will be very good. I hope that it will. And I'm not going to sit here and like try to downplay any of this. This looked awesome. You know, I said I'm going to set aside like 12 minutes where I actually be like, yeah, this conference was really good. And the 12 minutes of Spider-Man is basically what I'm doing. Spider-Man 2 looked awesome. Like, if this was its own little showcase and everything, people would have ate this shit up, and it probably should have been. They probably should have just been like, hey, we have a little Spider-Man thing to do, Spider-Man 2 thing we're going to show off, and here it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I'm excited for Spider-Man 2. I hadn't seen much of it, and neither had anyone else. And we actually finally got to see gameplay, and it looked awesome. I'm very happy with what I saw. And I've liked the other two Spider-Man games. I liked the original one. I thought it was great. And I liked Miles Morales. I thought it was pretty good as well. I like some elements of each one of them more than the other. And the fact that in this one you can change between both Peter Parker and Miles Morales in the story and play both of them. Super cool. Neat idea.
Twist.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked everything they were doing with Spider-Man 2. There is one issue I have with this, and it's the same issue I have with so many other things that we were shown during this conference. Okay. We got no release date.
Of course not. This is Sony's favorite move.
Yeah. It just said fall, basically. It's fall 2023. So we do have that information, but sometimes that can slip here and there. But I do think from what they showed off with this gameplay trailer, I do think this was real gameplay. I do think this looked really good, and I do think that in general this will probably end up being a really good game. And I don't think it's going to surpass Tears of the Kingdom because I think Nintendo fans are rabid and will not let it. Much like FromSoft's fans are rabid and will not let anything pass a FromSoft game when it comes to popularity. But I do think this will be one of the better games released this year, probably. I don't foresee this, at least from what we've been shown here, being a bad game. And I am excited to play it. So Sony at least did something right at the very, very end by showing off Spider-Man. But I can't help but feel like that should have just been all they showed. Do a little Spider-Man thing where they update people and be like, oh yeah, we're going to have it where you can play as both Spider-Mans. And here's a little snippet of how it'll work. Here's what the new Venom suit looks like. And if they would have taken 20 minutes and done something like that, everyone would have been like, oh, that was excellent. That was awesome. Really cool. But they didn't. They took an hour and a half nearly and crammed all this other stuff in there, bloated the entire thing, showed some things that definitely are standout titles, such as Dragon's Dogma 2 and Alan Wake 2, and some things that are very niche titles that people have been looking forward to for a very, very long time, such as Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and Plucky Squire, which also looked really fucking good. They showed some things here and there, but there wasn't enough here to be this is a PlayStation showcase. It felt very disjointed. It felt like a huge mess. And I think a lot of the games that were shown that were actually good that you and I have talked about today are going to be overshadowed by the fact that the overall feel of this showcase was just bad. It didn't feel like it had any structure at all to it. And that's a huge issue that a lot of people had with this, myself included. And even right now, I told you how bad the showcase was and everything. But that's because I knew the overall feel of it when I sat down and watched it. I knew how it felt to watch the showcase, all 1 hour and nearly 30 minutes. How it felt so bloated, how it felt so just disjointed. But even going back now, I'm showing you games that are yeah, this game actually looks really good. And so does this one. And this is a good game I've been looking forward to. And this looked really good. And this looks fun. And this looks interesting. But I wasn't thinking about that when I brought up the showcase initially. And I think that's the takeaway you can take from the PlayStation Showcase from 2023. It didn't feel like a good showcase. It didn't feel like it was structured well. It didn't feel like it was put together in a great way. And even though they showed great stuff, the mediocre feeling and presentation of the overall showcase brought down the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going through and just pulling out, cherry picking the highlights for me, it doesn't sound so bad. How long was this again?
1 hour and 14 minutes.
Too fucking long.
Yes.
How long it is. Yeah. Because I think that's the other thing too, as much as we want longer presentations too, like there definitely is, you know, expertise and brevity. You
Mhm.
gotta, you don't want to like overwhelm people with
I
stuff that's really not that
mhm.
exciting. Like there's stuff that I don't know, I feel like it's the stuff that Nintendo will just shove into the here's some quick,
I feel like if you're gonna have a
game.
showcase this long, you have to have it stacked, so it doesn't feel like it's dragging on, and that was the problem.
Yeah.
Like you can have long showcases, but you have to have a lot to show for it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that's the issue here. This showcase felt very throwaway. It felt very much like nothing. It felt like that's it a lot of the time while watching this
Hmm.
showcase.
Yeah.
And like that is the problem. The sum of its parts is its problem, not so much like each individual working piece, but just like the whole thing together is the issue. And that I think is why this showcase flopped so badly. And I mean, again, I am not discounting Spider-Man at all. Spider-Man looked fucking great. I am excited to play Spider-Man. I'm glad we saw more of it. I don't think we saw enough things that we were expecting to see. And that will bring me to my last piece of news as well.
Uh-huh.
Last of Us factions.
Oh, did they show this off?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the team's like, yeah, we aren't even really working on that.
Okay.
It's kind of been hinted at that the game's canceled, and that's why it wasn't shown. But it hasn't been officially stated. Let me get you the Last of Us factions right up.
Okay.
Last of Us factions 2. Here we go. Update from Naughty Dog one day ago. Yeah, I think it was 1 day ago. So they had like a whole write up, and I gotta find where they wrote it. I don't know. I don't actually see it anymore. Oh yeah, okay. Um, basically, it was kind of mentioned by various sources that Naughty Dog has significantly scaled down the team on the Last of Us multiplayer project,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
had seen something like
reassessing
that.
the game as
Yeah,
a
it sounds
whole.
like they're scrapping it. That's kind
It
of
really does, and that's one of the big like things Sony's had in its back pocket, and it's like where? What's going on? Like, what's going on overall? I'm glad that we have Spider-Man 2 coming, but where's Wolverine? Where's Last of Us Factions 2? Where's fuck, there were quite a few others. There was this really neat indie title that Sony keeps promoting and keeps promoting and keeps promoting. Um I can't even remember it now because it's been so long. Sony PS5 indie title. Maybe that'll bring up something. Fuck. Um, I fucking wish I could remember what it was called. So basically, there was a It's been shown repeatedly. Like it has something to do with trains. It's been shown at multiple Sony showcases, but we didn't get any mention of it here. It was supposed to release last year, I think.
okay.
Um, maybe 2021. Mm. Give me 1 second. Let me collect my thoughts, and then I'm gonna come back to this real quick because I gotta
Okay.
figure out what this game is called. Because it's a game I've been looking forward to,
Hmm.
but it's a game that Sony rarely talks about. But
Okay.
they kind of bring it out and tout it around, and then just put it away, and it disappears. And I'm like, where the fuck did it go? What's going on? Where is it? What'd you do? What'd you do? Where's it at?
I don't know. Could be anything.
Um, I think it might be Little Devil Inside. Let me double check. Let me check. Is this it? It is. Okay. Here it is. Little Devil Inside, shown at State of Play 2021, 2020, and just disappeared. This was a game we were expecting to have in 2022. This is a game that's been delayed multiple times and was shown off for the first time 2 years ago, and it's just disappeared. This is, if I recall correctly, this is a Sony first-party title, and I was kind of expecting to see like a release date for this one, but it just keeps disappearing, and I don't know what's going on. And I think that is the issue with a lot of Sony games right now. I posted the trailer so you can see what I'm talking about. The game. I think that's the issue with a lot of Sony games right now. They're announcing games, and then they just fucking disappear. Like No mention. Nothing. You're expecting to see them. Like, oh yeah, where's this thing? Oh yeah, where's that thing? And then it's just gone. It's nothing.
Yeah.
This game looks fucking excellent though. I really hope it does release. It looks so cool.
No, it does look really good.
But
I don't
yeah,
remember ever seeing this game before.
they've shown it off so many times. It's really cool. It's kind of got. It feels like a very British humor, tongue-in-cheek kind of indie Cthulhu Lovecraftian weird like adventure game, and it looks fun. It looks fun as fuck, and very charming. But like,
Yeah, I love the art style.
it just keeps disappearing.
Oh, what is that?
And I don't know what's going on, and that's a problem with a lot of Sony PS5 titles right now. Like, what happened? Where'd it go? Where is it? Can I? Yeah, there's literally a video here with 26K that says the most interesting game that completely disappeared from 5 months ago. This is a video that was made.
I mean, it looks excellent. I don't know. And they haven't said anything else about it?
Nothing. Not a single word.
It's kind of side note. I also looked at that trailer for the Gran Turismo movie.
Yeah.
I think it's playing Gran Turismo 25. Like,
oh, you don't know? It's based off a true story.
Yeah, because Gran Turismo 25 is real.
No. So, a guy became a driver, like an actual like race car driver, based off of his experience with the game Gran Turismo 25, and this is based off that true story and his experience of going from Gran Turismo to going to actually driving these high quality, super fast cars in real life and racing with them. I don't know how much creative liberties they're going to take, but the story is actually really interesting. I think there's a documentary online about it. I would highly recommend looking that up because I'm pretty sure the real movie is going to be Hollywoodified. But like, it's actually pretty cool how they were able to take their experience with the game and transfer it over to real life because of just how much of a simulation Gran Turismo is as a whole.
Yeah.
I also do think that's the reason why Gran Turismo is boring as shit, because it's way too realistic.
No, and a lot of people do. I mean, that's usually the complaint.
I do like Gran Turismo 7 because I wanted something to chill with and play, and I recently like streamed that, and it was very fun. It was not chill in the least bit. I was very bad at it, but it was very fun to play.
I wonder if they'll make him like scrounge for rewards to get new cars in this one.
Well, 25 didn't have any of the pay to win elements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was on PS3, PS4. This was a while ago that the thing happened. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. But like, dude, I'm so mad. I really want to play Little Devil Inside. It looks really fucking good. I really wanted information on that game. It's like, fuck, dude. Come on. Give me something, Sony.
Maybe someday. Maybe they're just waiting to see. No, I'm going to be optimistic, but I was going to say maybe they're just waiting to see what Microsoft is doing. But I just think Sony just doesn't have anything.
I don't think they have anything. And it's really upsetting because I thought they were just holding back, and several people said, yeah, they're just holding back. They're going to wait until the next showcase, and then like nothing. And now people are being like, oh, they just didn't have anything because they're waiting. They're waiting. They're gonna wait for the right time to show off what they have. But the stuff that they have that I saw, yeah, it's crazy. You ain't seen nothing yet. There was nothing shown at that Sony showcase. That was just, I don't know what they were doing there, but that's nothing like what I've heard. That's what all the fucking insiders are saying now. And it's like, dude, you're so full of shit.
So they have so much more stuff that they're sitting on. They just haven't shown it yet.
Oh yeah, do they? Do they? I'm sure they do.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Speaking of other shit we're sitting on, do you have anything else to talk about?
No, I don't.
No?
I think I've talked enough, to be honest. I went through this entire...
You did! It was a lot. I was not expecting that much.
I told you. I was going to talk about it. I felt like I had enough to actually put in there for my thoughts on several different games that it was worth going through.
I think you highlighted a lot of stuff that I would be excited about. So
yeah.
Stay tuned to see some of these games when they come out.
Yeah, definitely. And some of
Also
them are
too,
coming
just
out
kind of
pretty soon too. So like, go look them up. Go look some of them up. See if they're your cup of tea. And
also
we can go from
strikingly,
there.
I don't really think there's. I mean, obviously there's a few like exclusives, and obviously we're
Mhm.
talking VR stuff. You know, there's probably more there, but really didn't strike me as like a lot of like really
Exclusive
PlayStation
titles?
heavy stuff. Yeah.
It wasn't. That was the interesting thing. Pretty much
Mm-hmm.
every single one of these are multi-plat, with the like exception of like maybe 3 or 4 titles. But like
Mm-hmm.
I went over a lot of titles, and there was a lot of titles here, and a lot of them were you'll just be able to play them elsewhere if you need to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like that. I'm sure you like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like, maybe not the Sony fans. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. All right. Ready to wrap up?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to us. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also check out our website, game-crunch.com. That's where all our old episodes are. If you'll reach out to us, we're on Facebook or Twitter, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hello.
any final thoughts?
Nah, I'm good.
All right.
I think
And
I've
that's it.
said way more than enough.
You had lots of final thoughts today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online. I'm Clash of Penguin, there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
There she is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back on it, like I said now, there's a lot of things that I did like about the showcase,
Mm-hmm.
Didn't while I was watching it.
Well, probably because you can easily more skim over the stuff you didn't really like.
Mm-hmm.
So here, but yeah, no, honestly, I mean, you did point out like a bunch of decent stuff. So
Yeah. I think you'll
but
love Teardown when it comes out. I think you'll really like that game.
Teardown looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that other
Squire
one you
looks
pointed
awesome.
out. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited for that.
That one I think was actually like the real highlight of what we've talked about here.
Definitely. Alan Wake too as well, obviously.
Oh yeah,
but,
that will be good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's other ones we talked about too. I mean, I'm sure I'll watch the Gran Turismo movie to see how god awful it is.
I don't know if it will be god awful or just mediocre. Hell, it might even be good, but it might just be like one of those things where like no one went to see it, but it's actually really good.
Mm-hmm. And it could be. I mean, it's got the guy from Stranger Things. He's very popular these days.
I actually haven't been paying attention to who the people are in it. So.
Oh, he was about the only person I recognized in the few seconds that I watched because he was like right in the beginning of the movie trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phantom Blade Zero looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that one did look excellent. Neva looked excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there's lots of highlights.
If you haven't played Gris or Gris or whatever, that's also often on sale for Switch, and I highly recommend it. It's very good. That was their first game, the people that made Neva. So look that one up.
All right. Yeah.
That's actually where I played it myself. I played it on Switch. It's very pretty, and it's a very fun game.
I have to know this game.
What, Gris?
Yeah.
You've probably seen it and been like, that looks dumb. Because there's like...
Oh, I remember this logo.
Yeah.
I feel like you've talked about it before.
I
think you talked about it in Game of the Year one year.
Yeah, it was definitely up there. I mean, it's one of those experiences, again, like Abzu, like Journey. But it's one of those ones that's like, okay, like, it definitely earns it because of just, like, how aesthetically pleasing it is just to play it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got anything else.
Me neither.
I'm cooked.
Yep, me too, man. Me too.